The grand hall of the Galactic Council was more crowded than usual, brimming with diplomats and representatives from all corners of the known universe. Rows of alien species sat in tiered seats, each one watching the hologram display flickering at the center of the room. Rotadal, a tall, gray-skinned diplomat with piercing amber eyes, adjusted his ceremonial robe and took his place at the council's podium, his movements deliberate. Today, Rotadal's voice held the room, and as he spoke, every species listened. "It is with the utmost urgency," Rotadal began, "that we address the unsettling rise of a species known as humans." He gestured to the hologram, which spun to show a digital representation of Earth's solar system, highlighting its third planet. Rotadal's tone was usually measured, but today, a faint edge sharpened his words. In recent cycles, humans have achieved unprecedented advancements in space warfare. They have warships, no fleets, capable of defenses far beyond anything their kind should wield at this stage. A ripple of murmurs passed through the assembly. Beside Rotadal, Elder Kaler, a council leader known for his level-headedness, leaned forward, his many eyes narrowing in contemplation. Elder Kaler's voice boomed, silencing the room. "What, precisely, is it about these humans that has you concerned, Rotadal? Is this not the natural progression of a young species?" Rotadal shook his head. "These advancements are anything but natural. They've moved from basic space exploration to highly advanced warships in less than a century." His fingers tapped a console, bringing up a series of holographic images of the human solar defense armada. The ships were sleek, angular, bristling with cannons and reinforced with armor plating unknown to most council races. "Their fleet," Rotadal continued, "is equipped with long-range laser systems, rapid propulsion technologies, and shielding capabilities we've only seen among the galaxy's most advanced civilizations. In short, humans are moving to claim dominance in their sector. The question we must ask ourselves is, what happens if they set their sights beyond it?" The murmurs intensified, some council members exchanging uneasy glances. The friendly delegate, a short, insectoid creature with iridescent wings, stood, her thin voice carrying across the room. "Have the humans made any aggressive movements beyond their solar system?" "No," Rotadal replied, "but that is precisely what makes them dangerous. They understand patience strategy. Humans have never been predictable, and we've seen time and again that they adapt rapidly, especially when they perceive a threat." The hologram shifted to display a timeline of Earth's rapid ascent in technology. A recent image of their flagship, the Ranger, hovered in the air. The vessel gleamed with silver plating, its hull surrounded by an array of cannons and missile bays. A murmur of awe and apprehension ran through the crowd. Elder Kaler's many eyes flickered, reflecting the hologram. Do we have intelligence on the humans' intentions, or are we merely speculating based on their technology? Rotadal hesitated, choosing his words carefully. Our intelligence suggests a defensive posture. However, humanity is ambitious. Once they secure their territory, it's likely they'll extend their reach. I propose we dispatch a reconnaissance team to the edge of their system to observe these warships firsthand and gauge their capabilities. A ripple of discontent broke through the silence. The Andric ambassador, a tall, thin figure cloaked in dark green, shook his head. "Rotadal, if you're wrong and humans detect our presence, this council risks inciting the very aggression we seek to prevent." Elder Kaler raised a hand, stilling the murmurs. "We cannot ignore what Rotadal has presented. Humanity's recent strides are impressive. Yes, but they are also destabilizing. I believe Rotadal's caution is warranted. We must protect the balance that has kept peace among our worlds for millennia." A vote was called. Rotadal watched as each delegate entered their decision, the hologram at the center of the room shifting with each response. Finally, the majority showed green approval. The council had decided to send a team to observe humanity's new might. Rotadal felt a sense of vindication, yet knew this was only the beginning. As the council adjourned, Rotadal caught Elder Kaler's gaze. the two exchanging a silent acknowledgement of the gravity of their decision. Rodital knew this mission would bring more than data. It would be a test, a rare glimpse into a species whose capacity for both destruction and innovation had set them apart from every other race in the universe. Elder Kaler's voice broke into Rodital's thoughts. Be prepared, Rodital. The humans are not like the others. Their unpredictability has always been their strength, and our concern. Rodital nodded, his mind churning with scenarios of what they might encounter. As he left the hall, he could not shake the unease that gnawed at him. Humanity's meteoric rise had been swift, but the unknown path ahead was even more troubling. Would their reconnaissance confirm his fears, or would it only deepen the mystery of humanity's rapid ascent? Either way, Rodital had a sense that their mission to the edge of Earth's system was about to reveal truths no one in the Galactic Council was fully prepared to face. The alien reconnaissance ship slid silently through the edge of the solar system, a sleek, dark vessel designed for stealth. Rodital sat at the command console, his fingers gliding over the interface as he scanned the empty void. The planet Neptune loomed in the distance, casting an eerie blue glow over the ship's metallic interior. Rodital's team was small, just enough operatives to monitor and analyze data without drawing too much attention. But out here, in the domain of humans, even his team's advanced cloaking felt insufficient. Entering human territory, reported Sakin, his second-in-command, a stout, battle-scarred tactician with a sharp eye for detail. His voice carried an edge of unease. No signs of detection, yet Rodital's eyes narrowed as he scanned the data feed. He couldn't shake the sense that they were being watched. These humans were known for their ingenuity, and he had a nagging suspicion that they had prepared for even the faintest of intrusions. Suddenly, a warning light blinked on the console. Rodital froze as several blips appeared on the radar. "We have company," he muttered, leaning forward, his pulse quickening. Through the viewport, a formation of ships materialized, seemingly out of nowhere, blocking their path. Sleek and imposing, these were unmistakably part of the human solar defense armada. Rodital's heart pounded as he took in the sheer size of the vessels, their hulls reflecting cold starlight, bristling with weaponry that seemed far more advanced than expected. A voice crackled through the comms, deep and steady. "This is Captain Jensen of the Solar Defense Armada. Identify yourselves, or we will consider you hostile." Rodital exchanged a wary glance with Sakin, whose face had turned grim. "They've detected us through the cloaking shield," Sakin muttered. "Impressive." Swallowing his frustration, Rodital opened the comms channel. His voice was calm, diplomatic. "This is Rodital, representing the Galactic Council. We are on a mission of peaceful observation." There was a brief pause. Then Captain Jensen's voice returned, this time with a faint edge of amusement. "A peaceful observation by a cloaked vessel, deep within our territory? You'll have to forgive our skepticism, Ambassador Rodital." Rodital's diplomatic instincts took over. "Our mission is not one of intrusion, Captain Jensen. We come only to understand humanity's recent developments, which have caused significant concern among our council members." Another pause. Through the viewport, Rodital could see the human ships slowly surrounding them, cutting off any possible escape routes. Jensen's response was laced with steel. "If your council is so interested, Ambassador, you should have requested an audience, not a covert surveillance mission. But since you're here, we'll offer you a preview of what you're up against." One of the human warships powered up, a low hum vibrating through the void as its cannons charged. Rodital sensors flashed warnings, the readings indicating weapon systems more sophisticated than anything the Council's intelligence had anticipated. Captain Jensen's voice returned, cold and resolute. "The Solar Defense Armada has been established to protect human space from any perceived threats. We've been well aware of the Council's eyes on us. Understand this. We are not the vulnerable species you once knew." Rodital struggled to maintain his composure. Every instinct told him to retreat, to return to the Council with the dire news of humanity's capabilities. But he could not let them think the Council weak. "Captain Jensen," Rodital began carefully, The Council wishes to avoid conflict. Our goal is peaceful coexistence. Then prove it, Jensen interrupted. Withdraw immediately and report to your council that humanity stands ready to defend itself. We will not provoke, but we will not hesitate to retaliate if provoked. Rodidal's mind raced. Humanity's position was clear, defensive, but unyielding. And their technology, he had never seen such precision and power outside the most advanced species in the galaxy. The humans had not only caught up to the Council's best estimations, but had surpassed them in ways they hadn't foreseen. Sakin leaned in, whispering, "We should leave, Rodidal. There's nothing more to be gained here except unnecessary risk." Rodidal hesitated. He knew Sakin was right. But before he could give the command to retreat, the comms crackled once more, and Jensen's voice returned with a final message, one that sent a chill through the entire crew. "This is only the beginning, Ambassador," Jensen said, his tone deadly calm. "What you see now is but a fraction of our capability. Humanity is prepared to defend every inch of its space and beyond. Go back to your council and tell them, we are done hiding." The line went dead, and the human ships held their positions, silent and unyielding, like sentinels daring them to make a move. Rodidal clenched his jaw, swallowing the lump of unease building in his throat. He knew he had seen enough. "Sakin," he ordered quietly, "prepare for a full retreat. We must report this to the Council immediately." As the reconnaissance ship turned and began its careful exit, Rodidal stole one last look at the human fleet, each ship a dark promise of humanity's newfound strength. His mind raced with questions and fears about what this meant for the galaxy. The humans had made their stance clear. They were no longer content with mere survival. They had taken their place in the stars, and they were ready to defend it. A deep, unsettling realization settled over Rodidal as they left human space. His mission had uncovered something far more dangerous than technology, humanity's resolve. And he knew that when the Council received his report, a decision would have to be made, one that could alter the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The Council chamber was darker than usual, casting long shadows across the rows of delegates who had gathered in tense silence. Rodidal stood at the center, his eyes scanning the faces of his fellow Council members, reading the tension and fear that flickered behind their composed expressions. The hologram of the human fleet, gathered in perfect formation around Earth's orbit, loomed above him, a silent testament to humanity's power and precision. Elder Kaler broke the silence first, his voice steady but laced with a rare edge of uncertainty. "Ambassador Rodidal, you were there. Tell us, are they as dangerous as they appear?" Rodidal took a slow breath, his gaze locked on the image of the human warships. Each vessel was sleek and bristling with advanced weaponry, the kind of arsenal that would put most Council forces to shame. The sight had unsettled him during his encounter with Captain Jensen, and it unsettled him now. But he could not afford to show hesitation. "More dangerous," he replied, his voice carrying across the chamber. "Their fleet is unlike anything we've seen from a species so young. They are well-organized, disciplined, and their technology rivals that of our oldest allies. They demonstrated both power and restraint, a combination that should not be taken lightly." The friendly delegate, an insectoid with iridescent wings that buzzed when he grew nervous, glanced around the chamber. "And they threatened us, did they not? This Captain Jensen refused our warnings. He all but dared us to act." "Indeed," Rodidal said, his tone cautious. "But I sense that they do not wish to initiate conflict. Their display was defensive, calculated. They seek to protect their autonomy, not conquer." Elder Kaler's many eyes narrowed. "But what if we are mistaken? What if this is merely a prelude, a signal of their intention to expand beyond their solar system? We cannot afford to let a young species, so reckless and unpredictable, reach a position of unchecked power." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the assembly. The Andric ambassador, cloaked in green and known for his strong views on security, stood and addressed the Council. "We have allowed humanity to grow unchecked for too long," he declared, his voice rising. They were once a minor species, primitive and isolated. Now they dare to present a fleet capable of rivaling our own. We must act now, before they evolve into a threat we cannot contain. Rodidal felt a flicker of concern as he observed the ambassador's reactions. He had expected fear, but the level of hostility surprised him. Still, he knew he must tread carefully. "Ambassador Andric, I understand your concern," he said diplomatically. "However, an aggressive response could provoke humanity into open war. They have shown they are prepared to defend themselves, and they do not fear us. Any show of force may only embolden them." Elder Kaler nodded slowly, his gaze fixed on Rodidal. "What do you suggest, Rodidal? Do we ignore this threat and hope they remain contained?" Rodidal hesitated. He knew that his words now could set the course for the Council's decision and possibly the fate of the galaxy. "I suggest a cautious approach. Let us reinforce our observation posts along their borders, monitor their activities closely. If they make any moves beyond their solar system, then we can take measured action. But until then, direct confrontation may be premature and costly." The Council members exchanged uncertain glances, some murmuring approval, others looking unconvinced. Finally, the friendly delegate spoke up, her voice quivering with barely concealed fear. "And what if they decide to strike first? If we wait, they may grow bold enough to challenge us directly." Elder Kaler's gaze hardened as he considered her words. "We cannot ignore the potential danger they represent. If humanity's ambition drives them to challenge the Council, we must be ready. Our resources and allies vastly outnumber theirs. A decisive show of strength could remind them of their place in this galaxy." Rodidal fought to keep his tone neutral, though he felt a pang of dismay. "A show of strength risks escalation, Elder. Humanity has made clear they will defend themselves fiercely. We risk sparking a conflict that could destabilize the entire sector." The Andric ambassador folded his arms, his expression resolute. "Then let us prepare for conflict in silence. Mobilize our fleets under the guise of routine patrols, increase our technological defenses, and make it clear that any hostile move on their part will be met with overwhelming force. They will not defy the Council." The Council chamber fell silent as the delegates absorbed the weight of the proposal. Rodidal could see the unease in their faces, the conflict between fear and reason. Elder Kaler, sensing the tide of agreement, finally addressed the chamber with a voice of finality. "Very well," he announced. "We shall proceed as the Andric ambassador has suggested. Increase our patrols along their borders, monitor their fleet activity, and prepare our defenses. But we will not initiate aggression unless absolutely necessary. Humanity will be given one last opportunity to remain within their bounds." Rodidal felt a mixture of relief and apprehension. The Council had decided on a path of vigilance rather than open conflict, but he knew that one misstep on either side could ignite a war neither could afford. As the delegates began to file out, Rodidal approached Elder Kaler. "Elder," he said quietly, "I hope this decision does not lead us to regret underestimating them." Kaler's many eyes fixed on Rodidal with a stern, contemplative look. "Let us hope, Rodidal, that they do not give us reason to regret being lenient." As Rodidal left the chamber, he couldn't shake the feeling that the Council's decision had set them on a precarious path. Humanity had made their stance clear, and now the Council had responded in kind. The question lingered in his mind as he stepped into the corridor, the weight of the Council's choice pressing upon him. Would humanity interpret this silent preparation as peace, or as provocation? The Solar Defense Headquarters buzzed with tension as Captain Jensen entered the command center, where Admiral Lawrence waited by a towering digital display that flickered with data. The latest communication from the Galactic Council was pulsing in the center, a formal warning that humanity must restrict its space activities or face serious consequences. The two men exchanged a glance, the weight of the Council's ultimatum settling over them. "So, they've given us their terms," Jensen said, crossing his arms. His tone was calm, but his gaze was steely. They want us contained, Admiral, as if we're some minor species they can bully into submission. Admiral Lawrence's expression remained unreadable as he reviewed the Council's message. He was a seasoned strategist with graying hair and sharp, calculating eyes that had seen humanity through its most critical conflicts. "It was only a matter of time," Lawrence murmured, his voice low. "We knew they'd respond the moment they saw what we're capable of." Jensen nodded, his jaw clenched. "They fear us. We've worked too hard to let them dictate our future now. If we back down, they'll keep pressing until we're just another compliant member of their council." Lawrence studied Jensen for a moment, then spoke with quiet conviction. "This is where humanity draws the line. If they want us to bow, they'll have to make us. But we won't stand down, and we won't be the ones to fire first." Jensen straightened, feeling a surge of resolve. "So what's our move?" A faint smile crossed Lawrence's face. "We'll respond in a way they can't ignore, yet can't accuse us of outright aggression." He tapped the console, bringing up a tactical map of the solar system. "Our fleet will conduct a demonstration of capabilities, controlled maneuvers, weapons testing, fleet formations. Nothing that violates their terms. Just enough to make them think twice about any preemptive strikes." Jensen nodded, understanding the tactic immediately. A demonstration would serve as a warning, without triggering open hostilities. "I'll oversee the operation personally." Lawrence's gaze sharpened. "Be prepared for any response, Jensen. The Council may interpret this as defiance. We're dealing with species that have spent eons enforcing their dominance. Their pride won't let them ignore our strength." Jensen's face remained impassive, though inwardly he was struck by the enormity of their stand. This was humanity's declaration that they would not be relegated to the Council's whims, and he knew it could very well set the course of history. Hours later, the Solar Defense Armada assembled at a predetermined point in Earth's orbit. Ships glided into position, their sleek hulls glinting in the sun's rays. Under Jensen's command, the Armada executed precise maneuvers, forming into a formidable defensive array that stretched across space like a line of ironclad guardians. Warships powered up their weapon systems in a controlled sequence, projecting beams of light that cut through the dark, demonstrating the range and precision of their lasers and railguns. Across the vast emptiness, Rodital's reconnaissance vessel hovered just beyond the edge of Earth's solar system, monitoring every movement. Watching through his ship's viewport, Rodital could feel the hairs on the back of his neck stand as he took in the disciplined might of the human fleet. He activated his comms and began recording his observations for the Council. "They're making a statement," Rodital muttered, his tone edged with unease. "They're not expanding, but they're not hiding either. This is a declaration of strength." Beside him, Sakin let out a low whistle. If the Council doesn't tread carefully, they could push humanity into a corner. And from the look of things, humans don't surrender. Back aboard the flagship, Jensen observed the formation from his station, feeling a powerful sense of pride in his crew's precision. Every ship moved as one, a synchronized display of human resolve that sent a clear message to any who would challenge them. Just then, a communication came through, directed at Jensen's ship. Rodital's voice echoed in the command center. "Captain Jensen, this is Rodital of the Galactic Council. We have observed your demonstration. I am to relay a message from the Council." Jensen gestured to his comms officer to accept the transmission. Rodital's voice resumed with a hint of strained diplomacy. "The Council urges humanity to reconsider this show of force. You risk provoking consequences beyond your control. Humanity must understand that its survival may depend on cooperation with the larger galactic community." Jensen's eyes narrowed. "Ambassador Rodital, let me clarify humanity's stance," he replied, his voice calm but resolute. "We will not yield our autonomy, nor will we be intimidated by veiled threats. Humanity desires peace, but we will defend ourselves should any force challenge our right to exist freely." A silence stretched over the channel. Rodital's voice returned, quieter, almost wary. "Your message is understood, Captain Jensen." I will convey it to the Council. With that, the connection cut, and the alien vessel began its slow, careful retreat from the system's edge. Jensen watched it go, his face set in determination. The Armada remained on standby, but as the alien ship disappeared into the black, Jensen felt a pulse of victory. Humanity had made its message clear, and it was now up to the Galactic Council to decide how to respond. Admiral Lawrence's voice crackled over the comms. They'll think twice before trying to cage us again. Jensen allowed himself a rare smile. Let them, he replied. They've just witnessed the strength of a species that won't be cornered. As the fleet began to disperse, the weight of their stand settled over Jensen. This was only the beginning of humanity's story in the galaxy, and he knew the next chapter would be written by those willing to defy the powers that sought to control them.